The brain, we just discussed the gut brain and ozone. Want to bring in one more dynamic, and that's Chinese medicine. I have done a lot of body work. The lung colon meridian represents grief. So if you have a lot of trauma memory, it affects all the emotions. Grief is in the cycle. But what happens, and this is so important to understand, if you have a memory that's traumatic, your body's going to do this. Like you're going to have 1,000 fists in your body. You're protecting. If that phenomena occurs in the colon, the lung colon meridian, what's going to happen to your GI tract? Tighten, twist, etc. Irritable bowel disease, colitis, Crohn's. They do not tell you about the emotional piece. They do not talk to you about Chinese medicine, nor do they talk to you about how trauma literally plays out and where it plays out. So trauma in the colon plays out everywhere in the body. The liver meridian has a pathway, the colon meridian, lung colon, the kidney. We need to treat our instinctual freeze trauma states. Not easy. You need special work for that. But one thing you can do, this is going back to the brain, because we talked about how all those neurochemicals are made in the gut. So you want to get that gut to unwind as much as you can. How are you going to unwind the gut or resolve those trauma grip grab phenomena? I call it the grip of death, by the way. Chinese call it qi stagnation. Your kishkas are all tight, gut wrenching. You get the idea. What's important to understand is that what's wise about the Chinese, they understand a lot of micro pathways. They touch upon how do we respond to the freeze trauma phenomena. They don't talk much about the word trauma, but they have the kidney meridian, which is fear. Okay, so what can you do practically? We talked about the ozone. That does give a kind of, it's like putting a huge amount of fire in the colon, and then it kind of gives a break to the stagnation, and the trauma freeze actually unwinds just because it's such an intense stimulation to the colon area. Another thing I consistently will do is I have various massage tools. You can actually use what's called a rapid release tool or a Theragun and massage your organs, your liver, your spleen, stomach, your pancreas, your kidneys. You can actually do this vibrational therapy all over the organ systems. Another one that's even deeper is the pulsed electromagnetic frequency high intensity therapy that we've talked about recently. And that acts like a cellular pump, literally. If you have enough power, it's going to go through you and deep. You have to have enough power, and that's critical. And it used to be the amount of money to pay for high power was outrageous. Now we have a system that's quite affordable, and essentially every cell, right through, entire colon, small intestine, large intestine, etc. You can do every organ within 7 minutes. You can do your lymphatics. Imagine doing this to every cell. Pump, 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 pump. PMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, is a cell membrane pump. That's all it is. It has the beauty of being able to go through your body, but you need enough Gauss starting power to make it 5 inches in, 4 inches in, even an inch. So anybody who is using a beamer, for instance, or a very low intensity PMF, it's not going anywhere deep. It's not going to go in internally and massage the colon. So when we start to get into these freeze trauma areas, there will be emotions that show up. Just don't be afraid to grieve or express your emotions, because you have a lot of lockdown freeze trauma memories in the body. Colon is grief. Remember that. If you feel a lot of sadness and grief as you start to unwind that grip and grab, that's perfectly healthy and good. If you keep doing it, you'll start to kind of get to know this trauma unwinding process. If you haven't done this, like I started this late in life, and it's not so comfortable, because if I was doing this at 10 years old, I would have no trauma now. But We didn't learn this younger. I hope if you're a younger person, you understand the wisdom of this, understand what trauma does, how it manifests in the body. Look up Chinese medicine, look up the emotional correspondence of meridian points, and just think about how it's happening on a micro level throughout your body. And now, how can I get to these gripping, grabbing places in my body and unwind? You can't do it with your mind. I mean, maybe if you're a genius spiritually, you could visualize all those areas and talk to them. There are a few people that can do that. Vibration therapy, Stan, we have, look at our trauma release program, please. So PMF, vibration therapy are vibrational tools. They're all ways to get into the freeze trauma and unwind it. We're talking about the brain today, so I want to bring up this aspect, this trauma piece, the Chinese medicine correspondence to grief, the mechanism of trauma, and the way you can go at this. So if you're interested in really having a comprehensive approach, not just to deal with GI problems or digestive problems, but if you want to improve your gut-brain efficacy or the ability to produce more neurochemicals, this is another piece. So one other last piece too, if you're lacking in good flora, we recommend very high-end super strains of soil bacteria. You can contact me. I can give you a list of 4 or 5 strains that are super researched, used for biowarfare. Very, very stout, state-of-the-art probiotics. That's very important to get that flora going, and most people who have compromised flora just can't build their own. So these high-end soil strains come in and they actually help you build a good gut flora environment. This is something that you do need in the mix. Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.